Thanks so much. I am so happy to have everyone here today. I appreciate you joining us. I'm looking forward to sharing. I think we maybe got a little big with our title here. And so I deleted a word, everything you need to know in Vision Screening 2023. But I want you all to feel comfortable knowing that there are changes in the methods that you can do vision screening, and I wanted to share them with you. I work closely with a lot of Head Starts. I have been to and trained many Head Starts in different states. So if we have any of those people online today, give a shout out in the chat. I'd love to see that. It's kind of neat. Um, I'm excited that we've got such a good relationship with our Head Starts. So one thing I've learned in going to a lot of places is that Head Start directors, teachers, nurses, that you're required to do vision screening, but very few understand why. And you have your ideas, but to truly understand the story, I wanted to get in and explain to you why you're doing screening, what you're looking for, and hopefully shed some light onto how to do it more easily. So that was the idea behind this presentation today. So your objectives is to learn a little bit more about vision screening, find your methodologies, and then consider the follow-up component of it as well. And I'll walk you through a few steps along the way. You'll learn a little bit about the names of different vision problems, screening types, being both refractive and acuity screening. I'll go through details on refraction because yes, I am from Plus Optics and we have a refractive vision screener. And then we'll talk about your follow-up. So we did have a question right off the bat. Do you currently use an instrument-based vision screener? If you don't mind answering that, that just kind of helps guide me and guide us in knowing our audience. And so go ahead and answer that. So while we move along, why are we screening children's vision? And most of you know it's important. Of course, sight is important, but 80% of what a child learns is visual. When you're looking at this preschool population, about 5% of kids have vision problems. Moving on to the grade school age, about 25% of kids have problems. Unfortunately, parents don't know that their kids have a problem. So it's super important to do screening and help identify what these problems are. They are the leading cause of handicaps in this population. So the screening purpose actually changes by age. If you're looking at this under 6 years of age population, you're screening for problems that cause amblyopia, which is actual vision loss in one eye due to disuse. And I'm going to get a lot more into that because this is the age population that you guys are looking at. Beyond age 6, you're screening for refractive errors, most likely. Most kids at that age are having issues with myopia and then other refractive errors that I'm going to explain in more detail. So the importance of early vision screening at this young age is to detect disorders, like I said, that can lead to amblyopia. You might know it as lazy eye, but I don't want you to confuse that with simply an eye looking in or out. That's specifically called strabismus. For amblyopia in general, if it's not detected and treated early, it can lead to permanent vision loss, not treatable with eyeglasses. So what is amblyopia? And I love explaining this in detail when I'm with groups. I like to do personal trainings where we get the whole Head Start together and people can have a better understanding of what it is. Because like I said, it's not necessarily just an eye turning in and out. It's vision loss in one eye due to a lack of stimulation, basically, from the bad eye. to the receiving end. It's the occipital lobe in the back part of the brain. So basically, one eye sees well, one eye sees poorly, and the child uses the good eye. Children don't see double vision as adults do. The child uses the good eye and basically turns off the bad eye, and those neural connections that are supposed to be made between the eye and the receiving end of the brain are just simply not made. If that continues on for a period of time, that reduced vision, just that eye is simply not used, and it can't be corrected with glasses later on. This is why it's so incredibly important to screen the young kids at the age you're looking at the children under age 6. Now, when I worked at Vanderbilt, we did do research on the treatment, and we learned at that point that if kids at around age 1 are detected and treated for problems that cause amblyopia, 1 month of treatment usually fixes the problem. Now, if you take that same child at age 5 and you detect them and they're having that same problem, and you treat them, it's going to take 6 months to a year to gain the same level of vision back in that bad eye. So a lot of you might say, well, maybe we don't see as many kids with amblyopia anymore, because we're not seeing a lot of kids patched. A lot of people do understand that lazy eye, amblyopia, the treatment is patching. Well, back several years ago, studies showed that atropine drops, which are drops that blur out an eye, could be used rather than patching. And this improves compliance big time because the child doesn't have to wear a patch. The parent simply puts a drop in the child's good eye, forces them to use the bad eye, and it lasts for say 8-10 hours, whatever the doctor prescribes for a given day, and the child can't take it off. The parents don't have the compliance issues of not wanting their child to be patched, visibly seen by other people, and the child can't take it off. So treatment's improved incredibly. That's why you perhaps don't see the kids as much with amblyopia treatment. So what causes amblyopia? So you basically have 3 main issues: refractive errors, strabismus, and then a deprivation. So here are your refractive errors. Some of these words you've most likely heard if you've had glasses: myopia, difficulty seeing distance. It really isn't that common in the little kids. It's much more common in older kids. Farsightedness is hyperopia. Some level of hyperopia is normal in the really little ones, and as they age, the level of hyperopia improves. So our referral criteria for the little kids differs in age. So you'll notice if you do instrument-based screening that you actually have age-based referral criteria because you want to refer appropriately at the different ages. Another refractive error that we're looking at is astigmatism. It's very common. In some ethnicities, you're going to see a lot of referrals for astigmatism, and that's perfectly normal. And then anisometropia, big fancy word. An is un, iso equal, tropia vision, unequal vision between the eyes. So one eye sees well, one eye sees poorly. It is the leading cause of amblyopia. And it's typically a refractive error in one eye over the other. So here's some pictures just to get a gist of what myopia is. Clear vision close up, blurry vision in the distance. Another one here for hyperopia. So you've got a distance vision more clear than the close-up vision. And astigmatism kind of blurs things out altogether. It's a different angle off the lens of the eye with a refraction error. So strabismus, this is what a lot of people think is the leading cause of vision problems in this young age, or my amblyopia, lazy eye, when an eye turns in or out. So eyes are misaligned. They can actually go up and down as well. It can affect both eyes. It can be sometimes, it can be intermittent, but it can result in permanent vision loss. These children can either be treated with a refractive lens, glasses, that pull that eye in so they both work together, or surgery. So the treatment differs. Now, just so you understand, and I really do want you to take this number home with you, for children with amblyopia, only 18% of these kids have strabismus, or an eye that turns. So take that backwards, 82% of the time, when you're looking at these young kids that cannot see out of one eye, 82% of the time, you cannot tell by looking at them. So they are walking around, eyes moving binocularly just fine, and you have to do a screening with each eye. If you're doing it, I'm going to explain this in detail in a minute, with acuity or objectively with a refractive instrument-based device. So as I just explained about strabismus, it can be an eye that crosses in, one eye that looks up, hypertropia, or exotropia, an eye that looks out. And I'm sure you guys have seen this. It's not that uncommon. Other types of vision problems that we would look for in this age would be ptosis, droopy eyelid. It's just as important to refer as any of these other issues, because if the child's eye is drooping to the extent that it blocks off vision, the child needs to be seen by a doctor to get that surgically fixed. I tend to tell this story just because I think it's important that you all realize how you do need to refer the kids. When I was growing up, one of my cousin's names was Jan. Jan had a droopy eyelid, and we always said, "Oh, Jan with his droopy eye." No one teased him or anything like that, but that was just part of life. No one took him to an eye doctor. To this day, Jan has no vision in that eye because it wasn't fixed while it was still fixable under age 6. So it's very important to fix these vision deprivation problems when it's early. So a cataract as well, that children can have cataracts, rare as it might be. It's still important to notice if there's like cloudiness, as you see in this picture, and refer the kid. And then, of course, a cyst. You guys would notice that by looking at somebody. So beyond the screening charts and the instrument-based vision screeners, there are other things, just as teachers, that you guys can look at and decide if a child is having a problem or might need a referral. And that's simply the child's appearance, their behavior, complaints they might have, or of course, just general signs. So we call this the ABCs, appearance, behavior, complaints. And this is kind of an excessive list of things you could look for. We've talked about some of these already. Over in the appearance section, if an eye crosses, droopy eyelids are red, crusted, swollen, or if eyes are in constant motion, that's a different problem altogether. And then you look at their behavior. Are they tilting their head? Are they blinking excessively, rubbing their eyes excessively? Are they complaining of headaches or nausea? Other signs to look for, maybe they're always sitting right up next to the TV. So these are just general things. Usually you see so many children, when you notice someone's a little different, you might just notice that and make a referral based on it. You've got a good sense. So backing away from all of the things that you could be looking for, and what I'm going to get a lot more into detail here in explaining how you can detect, I do want to talk to you just a little bit about the epidemic of myopia, just because I find it important to consider. There have been a lot of epidemiological studies lately on the changes in children's vision and then moving into the grade school in general. And what's being seen, and this is a lot of detail here. I want you to look at this chart that I have next. If you look at this line that goes up near the 60 to 70% mark, that's what's anticipated in 2050 versus what we have now, which is the lower gray line, the under the 30% mark toward the end. Our number of people with myopia is going to increase substantially. And when you're looking at these little kids And they're doing so much of their work on their phones or on their iPads or whatever the handheld device might be. And they're just looking here all the time. They're not getting their distance vision. They're not outside playing as much. It's just so important to send your kids outside. It's actually required to develop that. So it's a lot of research going into it, but really thought that the lack of outside time is causing more myopia. So we will have a much higher rate of referral for myopia, not in the little kids you're seeing, but about first to third grade, it'll start. So just think about that when you're planning your days at school. All right, so moving along, why we screen children we've covered, amblyopia and eye problems we've covered. Now I'm going to get into refraction and acuity. And for most of these Head Starts that I've gone to, I've realized a lot of people don't necessarily understand the difference between the two. And I'm not pointing it out to you, and I can go to the nurse's office at a pediatric office, and it's the same story. So we'll start out by exam versus screening. An examination, obviously, is conducted by an eye care professional. An optometrist or an ophthalmologist is going to see the child, and they'll test for eye diseases, vision disorders, and they'll diagnose the problem, they'll prescribe the glasses, they'll do the complete eye care exam. What you're doing is screening. So you're providing the pass refer result that gets the doctor to the exam. So refractive measurements and acuity help determine whether the eyes are developing appropriately. And pass refer, hopefully you get the child to the exam and identify the problems while they're still treatable. And hopefully now you understand why it's so important for the parents to actually go in for treatment and not just postpone it year after year. Definitely, once there's a refer, there's a reason for it, go to the doctor. I get a lot of questions because I've got people in a lot of different states, and we have different guidelines in different states about vision screening and what you can do. And so last year I kind of put this list together so people can just think about the guidelines and how they're provided. The AAP, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and American Academy of Pediatric Ophthalmology and Strabismus provide an excellent list of guidelines. They're the medical professionals on vision screening. So those are the ones on their websites, are great guidelines to look at. And then obviously when you're working in your Head Starts, you need to be following the guidelines provided in your very own state. And so the government agencies would be your school and state legislative policies that you have to follow. And then you have a bunch of nonprofit agencies. Literally, when I look it up, there are over 100 that will provide you guidance as to the type of vision screening you should be doing. Now that's guidance. You need to follow the government, look at the medical professionals, and obviously Head Start, which is what I'm going to get into here in my next slide. The Head Start internal guidelines and methods should help you along your way as to how you should be doing your screening in your facilities. You all know you have to screen within the first 45 days of a child's attendance. I've got a lot of Head Starts associations that work with local organizations. That I've had Rotary Club, Lions, a number of organizations that help get that screening done at the beginning of the school year. And then you've got the rest of the year to just pick up the kids that are coming in later. And in addition to the NHSA guidelines, of course, you have to follow your state legislative policy. So NHSA guidelines will tell you in the first 12 months, you have a list of developmental milestones that you have to go through in a checklist for each child. And it's pretty cut and dry, just go through that. At 12 months and above, you can do instrument-based screening for refractive errors. And once a child is old enough, you can also do optotype screening, which is acuity screening. So obviously a child needs to be able to identify the appropriate symbols. So particular symbols have been chosen that are easier. The HOTV letters and the LEA symbols meet the best practice standards for the Head Start Association. And if the little kids are having a difficult time, you use a chart just for them to do a matching game. So let me go into some more detail on refraction versus acuity. So visual acuity, it determines the smallest readable optotype on a standardized chart. And I'm sure you all have seen these charts in the doctor's offices, the 20/20 chart, and the child is given the subjective test, subjective on both the part of the child and the part of the tester. And I say that because I've witnessed so many of these screenings where a very well-meaning tester wants the child to pass. And so, and this is just something for you to watch out for when you're doing the test and you have the letters on the wall. I've seen the testers go by and say, no, there are 5 letters here and I need you to identify this letter. And they'll actually like section off an area for the child to identify. That's a big no-no for vision screening. The child has to be able to identify it without it being sectioned off, because you've just made the child pass, especially an amblyopic child, where they need to be able to see all of the letters together in the line. You've made it easier for them to section off a single letter and then read it. So never touch or get near the chart when the child's reading it. And again, they can use matching. Like I said earlier, HOTV or LEA, typically at the age you're looking at, they need to be able to read 3 out of 5 of the optotypes on the chart, on the line that is their deciding line. And if a child can't do a visual acuity, they can do an instrument-based screening. So I'm going to move along and show you what this is. So refractive screening, it's instrument-based screening, and I'll show you a picture here of ours. Ours is the Plus Optics. So it's basically a handheld device, battery operated, and it takes an objective reading of the child's eyes. So all the child has to do is look at the device. It's a 1 meter distance. So the child is sitting or standing a meter away from the device, from the nose to the child's eyes. And if the child's looking and you're lined up appropriately, it takes that result in a half a second. And it gives you a pass or refer for the child's refractive error or any other issues going on. So who should be screened? Basically, any child 5 months or older can be screened. It has to be at least 5 months because the child has to be able to move both eyes together. So typically by 5 months, a child is moving their eyes binocularly, and you can quickly do a screening. Now, a lot of you might ask, how are you going to get a reading of a 5-month-old? They won't even look, especially, the kiddos that are in that young age range. It's so much easier if you put the baby in someone's arms over their shoulder and they turn around, and then you do the screening with them looking over the shoulder. And then you can go straight through your whole age range there. This device can be used for any age. And like I explained earlier, they're age-based referral criteria, and there have been decades of studies now done on the referral criteria and the appropriate level for your sensitivity and specificity, which is the appropriate referral level for you in your screening. So why would this be so useful? Obviously, just with the age and using your devices in the children that can't read their optotypes. But then on top of that, you've got kids that have difficulty, such as the children with hearing impairments, motor abnormalities, children with Down syndrome, cognitive impairment, or autism. So it makes it a whole lot easier to do screening in children that really would have a hard time doing charts. So let me go into a little bit of detail about the refractive screening checklist. So here's what the actual screen looks like after you get a reading. And like I said, it's fast. So as you're starting your reading, you would choose the child's age. I explained that it's an age-based referral criteria. Choose the child's age. The child looks at the front of the device, and then it actually pulls up that child's face quickly. So you can see with those green circles that you've gotten a nice picture of the child's eyes, and it says pass or refer across the top. It looks like this, a meter away. Couple of things you want to watch out for. You don't do these screenings in sunlight, so you don't go outside and do it. And of course, you'd have to close off any windows. You can do it in a regularly lit room. So this room that I'm in would be just fine to do screening, but just no sunlight. We've added a few things to our screeners. So if some of you that are here participating today have screeners and you've never gotten them updated over the years, I would recommend doing the update. We always provide the ability to do free software updates. And some features have become very useful. We've added acuity screening to the device itself. So not only does this device allow you to do a regular refraction, but if you look here, you can actually choose acuity. I'm going to show you in the next page as well, but it gives you choices. I think this is too small for you to read. Choices of 20/20, 20/40. We've also added the ability to take the measurement faster, get smaller pupils. We have a zoom in feature. I'm going to show you what that is in just a second. So this is what the HOTV would look like on our device, quick assessment. And then faster and zoomier, here we go. If you see the picture of the child's eyes and the refer below, let's say you want to zoom in and see what's going on. Let's say you didn't catch the reading up for whatever reason. Nice big picture. Doctors can actually use this to see cataracts as well. So this is really helpful, especially like, let's say you're screening little kids and you're having a hard time getting them. And they have, maybe the little girls have little hairs in front of their eyes. You'll see it in this, and you just pull the hairs away, or the little boys are nervous and they're looking at you like this. You need to get the full pupil. So this will show you what you do and don't have. Like I said, you actually can see cataracts. This is what a cataract would look like. Media opacity is the same as a cataract. And that's the zoomed in feature of this. We have two different device models. I was showing you our model that has more features on it a second ago. That would go through all three of these screens available on that. So if you wanted to keep a database or connect to Wi-Fi, many of our pediatric offices might want to communicate with their EMR systems. Our S12C model allows you to do that. And then we have our basic model, which I'll tell you, most of the Head Starts I work with have the S12R, the basic model, which is going to show you these first two screens. It's going to tell you if the child's a refer. You can get more detail in the second screen and get the reason for the referral. And then that information will actually become available in a printout. You can print it with a small label printer that looks like this, and that'll show you what was available. Here, showing you right eye, left eye, refer reasons, or the SD card on the device. If you never wanted to print anything, you could actually save everything electronically, and this PDF file is saved to your SD card. So moving along, once you do your screening, be it acuity, refraction, whatever, you definitely want to make sure you do follow-up. So you're going to want to collect all your data. Like I said, that could be a printout. I know a lot of the Head Starts I work with use Child Plus. They will actually upload those PDF files into the Child Plus database so that they have that year after year for each of their kids. Collect your data. I do recommend getting some names of doctors in your area for referrals. So identify your resources, getting your good doctors for the referrals, and then let the parents know some good ideas where they can go. And then hopefully the kids will go along to the doctor. It is nice to give them the information to go with. Doctors really do appreciate having that referral form and the initial reason for the referral. It's a starting place for them. And we've gotten a lot of thank yous from doctors for having that. And then of course the doctor diagnosis. And once the child goes to the doctor and they come back to your center and they're doing their treatment, whatever the treatment might be, maybe it's drops, maybe it's a patch, maybe it's glasses, congratulate them. It's so important that they see that you're proud that they're getting their treatment, because then they'll keep it up. It's just astounding to me the number of people that go so far as to get glasses for the kids, and then the kids don't bring them to school. And it could be many ways that that goes. It could be the parents afraid of losing the glasses at school. But use your resources. There are so many great organizations out there willing to help the kids get glasses and even a second pair of glasses. The Lions clubs are very good at this. So if in your local community you need connections, I know quite a number of people and I can typically help connect people. So feel free to email me if it's nothing about the plus optics and you need a connection for a follow-up in your community and you're looking for a local organization. Let me know. I might be able to help you. This is actually everything I had to say. So I hope I've given you at least a sampling of the vision issues that you can look for, why you would look for them, how to go about doing it, and the follow-up the kids might receive. And I want to open it up for questions now. So Courtney, can you help me with the questions?
Yes, get ready because you have a lot of questions.
Excellent.
All right, here we go. Can vision problems get corrected later in life if a child had an issue that was not detected early?
It's going to totally depend on what that vision problem is. So like I said, if it was amblyopia and it actually caused reduced vision in one eye, doctors will continue to treat that until about 9 years. I explained to you, so amblyopia is the main problem in kids under age 6. You're looking for the problems that cause amblyopia. You would treat it early. At age 6, doctors will continue to try, but between 6 and 9, only about 20 to 30% of the kids will actually respond to treatment. After that, the doctors will typically put on glasses, and that will be to protect the good eye. They have one poor eye and one good eye. So go ahead.
Okay, next question is how often should screenings be completed?
Annually.
Okay. At what age is it appropriate to use the Plus Optics Vision Screener?
5 months.
Did the age requirement of the Plus Optics change? Our camera will only do 6 months and older.
You need to have an updated camera. So not an updated camera, I said that incorrectly. Updated software. So our initial software used to show months. Now we show years. If yours does not look like this when you first turn it on, please update your software. That's actually quite a number of years old. So you can start as early as 5 months.
Okay. What would a recommended evidence-based screening for a child under the age of 5 months be?
You're just going to have to go through that list that the Head Start has for developmental milestones under that age, because there's nothing that you're going to be able to do as far as chart or instrument based.
Okay. Is it recommended or acceptable to use an instrument-based device over a developmental device when children are 5 to 12 months?
It's definitely acceptable. As far as recommended under 12 months, treatment is more limited at that age. The doctors tend not to treat after 12 months, so they will recommend more of the referrals with the devices after 12 months.
So you did just show us one way to determine if they have an updated version, but is there any other way that they can determine if they have the most updated version of your product?
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that question. So let's say we have the device, and I'm not knowing how many of you actually could have it in front of you, but there are settings on your device. You'll go to your settings. There's an I button. That is your information, and that is going to tell you what your software version is. 7.2.6 is the software that is current.
And how can they get newer versions?
Depending on which device you have, if it is the S12C device, you can actually upload it with your Wi-Fi. If it's the S12R device, the smaller one, we are always available. Just email us or call us and we ship it to you for free. It comes on the SD card.
Okay. And is that, so this question is similar, but how do we update our camera?
Super easy. So the SD card, when it comes to you, if you have the S12R device, all you do is put it in to the device, and if it's an update card, it will prompt you to do your update. You push the button and yes. So I do have to answer the question twice. If it's the S12C device, you go to that same information screen here, the I screen, and with your device on Wi-Fi, you simply push that rectangle and it does the update for you.
Great. This is so informative.
Good,
Um,
thank you.
who do I contact for software updates with Plus Optics?
So you have my contact info. You can call me. If you go to plusoptics.com, we actually have a service department, and we don't sell anything beyond vision equipment. They are available for you all of the time.
Thank you. And we will provide Tammy's information and that follow-up information in our email, and it's on our website as well. So, Tammy, what EMR programs are other Head Starts using?
You know what? That doesn't get into what we do at all. Child Plus is the one I'm familiar with around here more often, but it's not something that we're a part of.
Okay. And maybe that's one you all could answer for each other in the chat. Would you recommend using Plus Optics for children that do not pass the vision screening with the LEA chart?
So the Leah chart, I need to explain this, and I want everybody to understand it. So if you have a child that fails a screening with either the refraction, the instrument-based screening with a refraction or the acuity, they're a fail. Never do it the other way around. Don't do it in a way that, hey, we failed one, let's see if they failed the other. They have to fail both to make a true fail. No. Our recommendation, if you want my full recommendation on this, is to do the instrument-based screening first. Do the refraction first. It will automatically find your easiest kids for pass and refer. Okay, if it's a refer, you're done. You don't need to do anything else. If it's a pass, if your state requires a second screening, go ahead and use the HOTV screening that's available on here. It's a 10-foot test. And you can do your chart screening as well. Either one is fine, but you can take a second reading then. But a refer from either modality is a refer. You don't use the other one to pass.
Thank you. Are you able to do a demonstration on how to use the acuity feature?
Kind of. I can't really back up 10 feet. I have to apologize to everyone because my allergies have just set in. So I'm gonna lean over for just a sec. So the acuity feature is, it comes up on the device once you hit the HOTV, and it gives you a choice of what type of screening you want to do. So let's say our critical line is the 2050. I'm doing that one because it's going to pop up the biggest for us. You'll be able to see it best. And I've pressed it, I've hit OK, and then on my device pops up the letters at the 2050. So if that happened to be the critical line you were looking for. Typically for our age range, we're looking at the 2030 critical line. The kids have to identify 3 of the 5 letters correctly. And they can do it with a matching chart, or they can just say them if they know their letters. So HOTV is accepted by Head Start, just as the LEA symbols are. So you're allowed to do either one. And it's as simple as that. You'd hold it here, the child would read it at 10-foot distance. Every time you touch it, it will come up in a different order. So please don't call me and say, hey, I've been using my acuity chart and I can't memorize it. That's the whole point. You don't want the children to be able to memorize it either. Okay.
All right, thank you. Is there a discount for Plus Optics for Head Start?
Yeah, we have a great discount. So we have a nonprofit price, and our I'll just tell you the price is right out. It's just under $5,000, $49.95 for the S12R. And it's $59.95 for the S12C. So if you were compelled to keep a database, you can do that. So the S12C works well for that.
Okay, and so that should answer some of the others about the cost per unit. And earlier you talked about updating the software. What is the process? Can you do that one more time? What is the process for updating the software, and is there a cost?
Software is free software updates, okay? If you have the S12R, it's just as simple as getting your SD card from us and putting it into the device and selecting to update. The S12C device has Wi-Fi available on it. So what you would do is you would go in to the information button and you would select the button that allows you to actually do the update, and it'll do it right there for you.
Great, thank you. Is there a difference between Plus Optics and the Welch-Allen spot screener? Is one better than the other?
They're both instrument-based screeners. Of course, I'm biased. I work for Plus Optics, but I do know quite a bit about Spot. There are differences, and I'm going to show you one right now. So when I go to do a screening, and you can typically see this when I am on the computer with you. Hopefully we've got good lighting today. Okay, do you see the lights? Courtney, you can see them, right?
Yes.
So there are 54 LED lights spinning 3 times every half a second. If the child's looking for that solid half a second, it's going to take that reading and be done. That has 23 lights. The accuracy is improved by the higher number of lights that we have. So these are what's actually taking the measurement. So our accuracy is better. We can be in a brighter room. I'm not saying this to be in spite or anything. This is just how it is. The way we do it with our more lights, we can do readings in a room that's typically just a normally lit room. Children don't have to be sitting in the dark like they do with Spot. And so those are the main differences. Our AA batteries are a bonus. You don't have to ever send it in to the manufacturer to get your batteries changed. The software updates are free. You don't have to send it to us to get your update. We like to keep it in your hands. So those are differences as well for anyone out there that has a Spot. They might be well aware of the time out of their hands when they're sending it into the manufacturer to do their updates.
All right. Are there grants for vision equipment?
Um, so in my previous life, I did a lot of fundraising and worked with a lot of organizations in grant writing. And yeah, I definitely know there are grants in getting equipment and vision screening. And if you want to start simple and you want to start local, I'd highly recommend you just go to your local Walmart or Sam's Club or something like that. They'll typically give $1,000 if you've hit them in the right time of the year for the grant cycle. So you ask I'm in the Lions Clubs as well, so I actually help my Lions Club get funding. You just ask the manager there when the cycle is and how you can get the funding. And you can go to several different organizations at once. So you don't have to ask one place for all of your money. You go, one place to the next. And like I said, ask your local Lions Club. They will help as well.
Great. And this question is maybe for the whole group to answer. So if you want to chime in on Beth's answer, how do you use the Plus Optics to Child Plus? So, or might be.
Right now, we're not immediately doing that. So there are some workarounds. Child Plus has to write a simple software addition that would let us in. We're open source, but they're not letting us in at the moment. So if you can make any waves with them, they just need to know that there's a need. But on our end, we have what we call Plus Optics Connect that allows you, if you have the S12C, the device that has Wi-Fi, it'll send your results immediately to your computer. And then Plus Optics Connect will send a file over to Child Plus. So it's a 2-step process, kind of a workaround.
Okay. And can you scroll back to the slides again that shows the difference between farsightedness?
So
And these
you
slides
want the
will,
definitions of the slides?
yeah, where it shows what it looks like in the definition, if you can show that again. And Amy, these slides will be made available to you, so you'll be able to look at this again later on to have a reference.
I'm honestly
So,
going to have to go back about 20 slides and I can't get out of the full
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can
It's like
keep
looking at the
moving
whole
on.
presentation backwards.
Uh,
So
so
hyperopia is difficulty seeing close up, basically. Um, just to answer it, versus myopia, which is difficulty seeing distance. And I'm not so sure the picture shows it beautifully, but I'm going to pull up my definitions page here in just a sec.
okay. While you're doing that, can I ask you another question?
Absolutely.
Our camera says plus optics 12. Do I update it via Wi-Fi?
Uh, do you have your camera in front of you? Because my question would be, does it look like this one or this one? The S12C is a little bit bigger than the S12R. The S12C has Wi-Fi. And if you wanted to look at the bottom, if it says 1201, then it's an S12C. If it says 1202, then it's an S12R.
Okay. Thank you for that.
S12R cannot be done with Wi-Fi.
Okay, how would you explain to a parent the need for a completed eye exam at an eye doctor rather than a screening at their primary doctor?
When you make your referral, it's really important the child doesn't just go to the pediatrician, because you've already determined that the child is a refer. They actually need to go on to the eye doctor. Um, so what you can explain is this is, depending on how you did your screening and your confidence level, all that, but this is just as good, if not better, than the screening that the child's going to get at the pediatrician. So they don't need to do that extra step of going to the pediatrician as well. They should go straight to the optometrist.
Okay. And Tammy, do you know the time frame from purchase to delivery if someone makes an order with Pulse Optics?
So I'm going to just throw in a caveat here. If anyone is on our waiting list right now, this past year, we ran into an issue. I'm sure in your mind, you've heard of this somewhere, of not having chips. And so we had a supply chain issue of not being able to manufacture because we didn't have chips. So we've had a bit of a waiting list. If you're ordering now, your typical time frame should be 6 to 8 weeks for the S12R, probably about 12 or a little longer for the S12C. But we are manufacturing and up and going again, so not a problem.
Okay. All right. We have some parents say that the doctors tell them that 3 and 4-year-olds are too young for eye exams. How often is this, and does anyone else run into this?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I hear it all the time, and it's really challenging, because I work with pediatricians as well, and I help train at pediatric offices. Um, Once they've run into a problem where they found someone, that they passed by at age 3, 4, 5 and didn't refer them on to an eye doctor, and then learn later that this 7, 8-year-old is no longer treatable, they feel horrible and they've learned their lesson. Unfortunately, there are too many pediatricians that still need to learn that lesson. It's very important that the parent stands up to the pediatrician and says, I see that there's a problem. Please make the referral.
Great. Thank you. Do these machines need to be calibrated?
No calibration is necessary. There are no moving parts, just the software update.
Okay. And yes, this Zoom will be accessible for later. You'll be able to see the resources that Tammy has produced for you later, and we'll link all of the great resources that we've talked about today in that recording as well. Um, see, I'm scrolling through to see if there are any more questions. Um, that telling parents to stand up and advocate is really helpful. I hear this, seeing this all the time. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
And if a child passes an eye screening the first year, should they be screened the next year?
definitely. Hmm.
And you
Yeah.
recommend that annually.
Mhm.
Okay.
I believe it's required at Head Start to be screened annually. And I do recommend that the kids be screened annually. And as I explained, in the under age 6 category, you're looking for something different after age 6, once kids are starting grade school, is when myopia is setting in. So it's very important to screen for that as well. And it changes annually.
All right, thank you. I think we have made it through all of the questions in the chat.
Oh, good.
Uh,
Okay. I am really excited about the number of people that logged on and participated with us. It makes me really happy that this many people care about vision problems and want to do a better job in their centers. So thank you. I'm happy. And we will have that Amazon gift card. So one lucky person will be chosen and we'll reach out to you afterwards.
all right, we'll follow up with that email, let you get connected with Tammy afterwards. And if you have any questions, let us know. We hope you'll have a great day. Take care.
Goodbye all.